Okay, thank you very much for coming today. I'm Walter Hang, and I'm the president of Toxics Targeting. And so we're posting today extensive government information documenting multiple chemical pollution exposure pathways at Elmira High. So we're going to basically reveal to the public indoor and outdoor toxic air pollution and inadequate turf cover of soil contamination that raises long-term public health protection concerns. And basically, we're making this information available because we're refuting government assurances that, quote, Elmira High School students, faculty, staff, and visitors are at no risk of exposure to contamination at the school property, close quote. That is a factually incorrect statement, with all due respect, and we're going to make available extensive information that basically refutes that assertion. So this is a 2010 health consultation evaluating exposures related to soil vapor intrusion at basically Elmira High. And this is from the New York State Department of Health. Quote, as expected, volatile organic compounds were found in the air samples collected from inside the school. Several compounds were detected at levels above those commonly found in indoor air. Freon 12 and Freon 113 was identified throughout the school. Their presence may be related to their use at the school, their presence in outdoor air that enters the school, or due to soil vapor intrusion. And in all likelihood, this Freon is there because it was used as a cleaning solvent. It's been identified at high levels under the school slab. In addition, 1,1-dichloroethene throughout the school. This compound is most likely associated with its presence in the outdoor air that enters the school. And then finally, the concentration of trichloroethene was identified at 2.4 micrograms per cubic meter, was higher than typical background levels, but lower than the New York State Department of Health guideline of 5 micrograms per cubic meter. Its presence may be due to soil vapor intrusion, but that guideline was cut to 2 in 2015, so that was an exceedance. The Department of Health also reported, similar to previous sampling events, chlorinated solvents and freons were found at relatively elevated levels in the air beneath the school, in the subslab air. In particular, elevated concentrations of one or more compounds were found beneath a portion of the gym, the pool filter room, and room 127. Outdoor air. 2 compounds, 1,1-dichloroethene and Freon 12, were present at levels above those commonly found in outdoor air. This is very important because, as you know, the school authorities have said they're pumping air into the school to try to create positive pressure. So this has been identified on the rooftop. They're actually pumping polluted air into the school. We also recommend that reasonable and practical actions be taken to reduce exposure to those compounds that are present in the indoor air at levels above background. In other words, there shouldn't be any of these toxics in the indoor air at the school. So you can see it's actually quite a few compounds. Chloroform, Freon 12, Freon 113, 1,1-dichloroethene, 1,1,1-trichloroethane, trichloroethene. So there are a wide variety of compounds that have been identified in the indoor air results. And these are the industrial chemicals that very likely were dumped at the former Sperry Remington site in decades gone by. Now, efforts have been made to try to keep the contamination from coming up through the foundation slab, and they've also tried to pump air into the building to keep the toxics out. That's called positive pressure. Unfortunately, based on the most recent air certification report, which is right on the school's website, you can see a wide variety of compounds have been recently identified in this one key room 127. And notably, it's carbon tetrachloride. But you can see for many, many years, they've known about contamination at the school. It's low level, but there's no safe level of exposure to many of these cancer-causing agents. And as I'll show you shortly, there are no standards that have been adopted. So this is from the report by Geosyntec about a year ago. So you can see all of these compounds have been identified. They're all highlighted: benzene, toluene, xylene, freons, chloroform. But you see there are only a couple of standards. So when they assure the public that the air meets the applicable standards, they're not including all of these compounds: hexane, cyclohexane, 1,2,4-trimethylbenzene. These are very toxic compounds, and these were identified as recently as 2016. And the key thing is you can see it's been identified on the rooftop. So the air potentially coming into the building is actually contaminated. In addition, there's been a lot of concern about people being exposed to soil contamination at the athletic fields. So it turns out they actually did an outdoor cover inspection in June 2016, and they identified a whole variety of locations where the turf cover was either non-existent or incomplete. You can see it's in the athletic fields. And this has been verified because people have been sending me photos of actual raw earth, basically near the football field. This is actually the inspection log. No grass due to athletic activities. Grass and baseball field. Grass and baseball field. So any assertion that the public can't come in contact with the polluted dirt at the school is just not supported by the available facts. The pictures are very striking. You can see there are actually holes. This is obviously a baseball diamond. The dirt is just laying there. Here are some bleachers, bare earth, no grass. You can see people have walked and driven so much that it actually killed the grass. And so that doesn't protect the public from coming in contact with the underlying polluted dirt, which is incredibly widespread in many areas of the school grounds. Another major concern is cracks in the foundation slab. So this is, again, the school's own survey, where you can see huge openings in the foundation slab. Flaws in the tile, openings in the slab. The incredible thing is that the authorities have known about this. Substantial cracks that may compromise the foundation slab and may permit soil vapor intrusion should be sealed. That's 2015. And teachers have been complaining about this concern. There are photos that have been circulated documenting huge cracks in the foundation. This should have been addressed. And this is how come, in all likelihood, toxics can be getting into the school. So the DEC also asserted that with regard to the 1998 study that I released a week ago, which citizen activists have acknowledged they had never seen before. So the state said, we have taken action on those detailed findings from day one. Well, I don't think that that is supported by the facts. For example, this is soil contamination sampling at the school from 2000. So two of the key areas that were identified circa 1998 by the firm's consultants were the parking lot and this wing of the school where 127 is. And you can see they did investigate underneath those areas. So those should have been investigated right off the bat. You can also see that they identified extensive contamination in the athletic fields that still haven't been cleaned up to this very day. Finally, it has now come to light that essentially Sperry Remington disclosed to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in 1982 that organics, inorganics, solvents, heavy metals, acids associated with plating and polish had been very likely suspected to be dumped at this site. So it's now been 35 years, and this site still isn't cleaned up. So we're not saying that people are going to go to this area and suffer imminent health hazards. But what we're saying is that this site should have been cleaned up literally decades ago. And the current available data shows exceedances over widespread areas. So they know where the pollution is, where it exceeds the soil cleanup objectives, where people can come in contact with this pollution, and they haven't cleaned it up. So to say that there is no risk is simply not supported by the available facts. And that's how come we're making all of this information available to the public. They can go to toxicstargeting.com. They can see all of these data for themselves. And all we did was we excerpted the key sections for easy public review. The full documents are there too. But these are huge documents, so the public really has a hard time figuring out how to read them. They're very confusing. But that's how come we're basically reiterating our message to Governor Cuomo. This site should have been cleaned up a long time ago. More than 800 Elmirans and former residents of Elmira have respectfully requested that the governor designate all of the contaminated areas associated with the Sperry Remington site into a Class 1 facility that must be cleaned up immediately, urgently, without further delay. because we believe it's in danger of causing irreparable or irreversible harm. And that's how come we're now going to be phone banking the governor next week. We're going to be extending this coalition letter on a statewide basis. But this is really for Elmirans to look at the information and to look at what maybe they haven't been told about, literally for decades.